I don't know if I shared with you at all the art I did for that display downtown.
Was that the Captain America?
Yeah, he looked like Captain America.
Yes, I did see that. It was freaking awesome.
Thank you. There were a couple different images of him. There's like one on each side of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun drawing because it felt like I was drawing Captain America. Like, I'd never actually worked on random Marvel characters before. Like, I like the movies. I like the comics for the most part. I'm not a huge fan, so I don't know a lot of their backstories, but like, it was still neat because I don't draw mainstream guys that often. Like, I don't do fan art. But it kind of felt like I was doing fan art while I was doing it, even though it was our version of Captain America that looked like, all the symbols, the what do you call it? Vexillology.
What is it called?
That is like the symbolism of flags, I think.
Oh.
Wow. I'm getting glitchy on my pen. Like, it's not letting go of this shape.
Uh-oh.
I've even put my pen away.
Didn't you say that you just re-downloaded your
I did. It should be escape. Come on. Okay. That was weird. But yeah, like, his crest is the Indiana state flag. The symbols on his shield are the city of Indianapolis images. Like the circle with the star in it. So he's kind of knockoff Captain America, but still.
He's Captain Indiana?
He's a Circle City Captain, is what we named him.
Nice. Way to avoid trademark.
Right? Sometimes we have to play in that gray area a little bit. I mean, it wasn't done for profit. That was purely a community and PR piece. Like, just showing off our building processes, since it involved carpentry and 3D printing, painting, graphics, and concept art. Like, so it's a lot of the things my company can do. But we didn't sell it to anyone. We didn't,
Right.
It wasn't part of like a project for a client that we install and leave somewhere. But
I mean, if Marvel went after every person that ever
drew Captain America in the window of their comic shop.
Yeah, that would, they'd be pretty busy.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's obvious where the inspiration was. I mean, he's throwing a shield. It's not like we're hiding it. But it was fun. I got to do... It was kind of a cathartic moment for me because I was drawing comics at work on, like, while being paid a salary. And I was just like, this is surreal. I get to do this. And, like, people could walk by and see what I was working on, and I don't have to hide it, Like,
I'm doing work.
Yeah, I am doing work. I'm being productive.
I like your shorthand Soma.
Oh,
it's
her
definitely her.
Her little sketchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Soma. So you had a good Thanksgiving
Oh yeah.
with your in-laws.
Yeah, we did. We have this tradition where we make a turkey.
How original.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, but once a year we make a turkey with stuffing and potatoes.
I love hearing about everyone's old
Everyone
family
does it
traditions.
a little different, but that's how we do it. Yeah, we do a turkey.
Well, who actually cooked it though? Is it
my wife's sister,
Oh, okay.
or maybe brother-in-law. I don't know. They probably both took turns basting, and
Mm-hmm. Is it always them, or does it be a different person every year?
It's kind of varied, and COVID has definitely changed things a bit with the scheduling of what we call Thanksgiving.
What is that little circle?
What
I don't know what that is. It's like a little... It's not... There's like this little
Is it on your
circle right
screen?
here. It's on the screen. I think it...
I don't see it.
Really?
Is it on a different layer?
Nah, it must be a screen glitch. Like...
Yeah.
It's a little thing that pops up when you're grabbing an object. Oh, it went away. Or like one of those little circles that's like a loading bar. And it just never went away. It was stuck there for a minute. And no one else could see it but me, so now y'all think I'm crazy.
Yeah, I think you're a little crazy, but that's okay.
Okay. Anyway, word balloons are good. And moment of truth.
Oh,
Yay! Pressure sensitivity works.
All right.
All right.
I started listening to Bono's new book
Yep.
on Audible. It's really good. Even if you're not a U2 fan,
Uh-huh.
I think you might like it.
Well, just because of all the cool music industry stuff?
Well, it's kind of like a really long song exploder. So you might like it, even though you don't know a ton of U2's music, and you don't have to, because
Hold on. There's a... Like, this eraser is not doing anti-aliasing.
Uh-oh.
So I need to... Is that... Yeah, I think that works. Okay. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Oh, I just oh yeah, it's called Surrender 40 Songs, and each chapter is a song, and he'll kind of go through the song a little bit and the lyrics and how it pertains to something in his life, and
Yeah?
it's still that kind of autobiography going through, being a kid and starting the band.
Yeah, so it's
But-
kind of like Song Exploder. Like, you get to hear the influences
Yeah, well, and
behind
then
the stuff.
the audio version, like on Audible, he actually sings snippets of the songs, which is nice for an audiobook, as well as there's like kind of background music. He'll mention like even like a Sex Pistols song, and then that song will start playing in the background. And there's some
So you
kind
know
of,
what he's talking about.
yeah, there's some kind of snippets like that they took the time to do, and it's just really well done.
Nice. I think I
And-
would enjoy that, even though, like, I just am not super familiar with their catalog. Like, as long as they provide those details for me.
It does.
A lot of times I will be listening to musician interviews, and they'll, like, mention, oh, well, when we did this, or when that blew up, and then I'm like, I don't know what songs you're referring
Right. Now, I'm a big U2 fan, so I get most of the references of the songs he's talking about, of the band members, but...
to. I almost thought you said YouTube.
Oh, I'm also a YouTube fan. It's good. It's helpful.
I've heard of that website.
Yeah, I've been teaching myself a new animation program called Synfig,
Yeah?
and it's very hard.
Whoa, really?
It's very tedious.
Harder than what you were using?
Yes, because really what I was doing before was mostly in Photoshop. I was just kind of...
Building your pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I was mostly doing it more hand drawing, and I'm pretty
Mhm.
comfortable in Photoshop. So this is an actual vector animation program that uses an algorithm to move your objects for you.
Oh.
So the mechanics are the same. The idea of it is the same, but it should be smoother. But the tool set is just completely different. Like the way it treats layers and the way you rotate an object. Like I'm used to it in Photoshop and the quick commands and how things behave.
Uh-huh.
And this is just it's just a different language. So I'm really struggling to like start
Learn it?
over. And then I'm also going through YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials. So I'm trying to be very disciplined and going through them kind of one by
Mhm.
one. And even if it's a topic I don't really think I'm going to use, I'm trying to just understand the philosophy behind it, just because I think it'll help me in the long run. But it's a little different. Because I for the most part have been doing 2D animation, and that's more flipbook style, and I, can move an arm a little bit and then redraw things. But this is more shape based, so
Yeah.
you create layers of shapes, and then you can manipulate those shapes.
Oh, more like puppetry.
It's actually similar to it's like understanding puppetry, but then also understanding what the algorithm is going to do and at what pace.
Yeah.
It's just very and
It's also more like 3D modeling, like
Yeah.
computer graphics where you build the model and then you just manipulate it and tell it what to do.
yeah, I could see it's very time consuming up front to create your puppet, so to speak.
Yeah.
But once you get it done, I can see it being a huge time saver, because now you can manipulate the puppet the way you want.
Yeah, and you only had to build it once. You don't have to
Exactly.
build it every page.
Although even in my 2D animation, I'm finding I'm just copy and pasting faces, and
Yeah, you don't have to draw.
I'm drawing. Yeah, I'm not redrawing.
As long as they're from the same angle, you can copy paste.
Yeah. But yes, going back to the Bono book, highly recommend it. Very good.
Cool.
I'm probably like 8 or 9 chapters in, but it's really good.
I've still been listening to Count of Monte Cristo.
You said that thing's like 50 hours?
It's like 50 hours long. Very good, but man, is it long.
Isn't that like pretty old?
Yeah. It came out in the,
early 1900s?
I mean, it's set in the Napoleonic Wars.
Oh gosh, that's even older.
I don't know when it came out. Is it 1900s or 1800s?
It would be 1800s if it was Napoleon.
Well, I mean, that's when it's set.
Right.
But I mean, when was it published? 1844.
That's what we call old school.
That's what we call a classic.
I mean, is the writing like
it's a sleeper hit. Yeah, I mean, everything is like, they're all moneyed aristocratic gentlemen.
Uh-huh.
So the speech is very, I mean, if you've read any fantasy books, like a lot of authors are like used to writing in that style.
That's
like
true.
European aristocracy all talks the same. And then you just make your like lords and barons and stuff all talk like that. The Count de Monte Cristo. Oh, oui, monsieur.
Does the
Mon foi.
Does the narrator do an accent?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they all just sound vaguely European, whether or not they're Italian or Catalan or. I mean, the Count himself is funny because, like, no one can tell where he's from, because while he was in prison with the Abbé, he learned multiple languages and kind of disguises his accent.
Right.
So he can kind of blend in as just a foreigner when really he's from Marseille. He's from France. And
have you read it before?
Yeah.
Like, you know the story?
Oh, I haven't read the full book before. No, I've only seen that movie.
Yeah.
And I know the basic story.
Okay. Yeah, I know the basic story, but I've not.
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you actually don't know the book very well.
I'm sure, yeah.
So much of it is different. Like, the main plot points are almost there, but, like, they change who the main villain is. They change, like, a lot of things. It's kind of funny. But since we watched it, and I guess the internet knows that everything you do, so, like, I got fed a lot of YouTube videos after watching it that was like review of the Count of Monte Cristo movie, like someone's reaction to watching it, and they compare it to like how much of that was from the book and how much of that was just invented by Hollywood. And so I got to hear all about all the changes.
Yeah, it is interesting. I feel like Hollywood used to have more leeway on changing books.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like, because like the Harry Potter movies, for instance, are just almost verbatim from the books.
Uh-huh.
And like, I feel like more adaptations are becoming just kind of checklists because they can't change too much.
Where people get mad.
People will get mad.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Like, Hollywood used to get away with a lot more, like, random stuff. Like, I actually think it's more prevalent in TV, especially when you're adapting a foreign television show for your local market. They can completely change everything about it. Like, redub it, change the focus. You can do a lot just in editing to completely change a piece. Like, when Miyazaki's Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, which was their first full-length animated feature, when it was brought over for U.S. audiences, it was completely changed. It was called, like, The Warriors of the Wind or something, and they cut out a lot. They redubbed and changed, like, and just so much of it, it's almost unrecognizable as the same movie.
Yeah.
And that contributed to...
Neil Gaiman doing the next one, right?
What?
Did it? Because Neil Gaiman translated Princess Mononoke.
Really?
Yeah. I just read this.
Whoa, I had no idea.
He was contracted because the previous translations were so bad. So
yes.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my gosh, they were.
Yeah, and then it was described that he was given a literal translation of the script, like every literal thing.
And then
so
you
it
need
didn't
to
read
make it.
Yeah, and then I think he was given a
Makes sense.
pass at a dub, and then he was told to fix it. So he's like, "This is what our current team did. This is what the literal translations are," and they paid him to consult and like.
Oh, that's great.
Change it up and try to make it. And he said his goal was to recapture some of the literal translations,
but also
English.
Maintain the poetic.
Yeah.
Like
without losing,
because there's a lot of things like in poetry that are lost once you translate it because it makes sense in the native language, but then when you
we just watched The Walk, which is that tightrope
guy
who did
yeah
but he's French, and there's this phrase they use in the movie. It says the carrot's already cooked, and that's their way of saying like the die has been cast.
Yeah.
You know, you can't put the toothpaste back in the
tube. Yeah,
but like the carrot's already cooked.
That's great. It reminds me of the there's that, I don't know how apocryphal it is, but like I read somewhere that when I think they were doing Spirited Away, which was like they'd already done Mononoke. Or was it before Mononoke?
Well, Spirited Away is after Mononoke.
Well, I'm trying to remember when this event occurred. It was when Miyazaki's next movie was being brought to the U.S. I think they were already working with Pixar or Disney for distribution.
Probably Disney.
And no, it couldn't have been Disney. But they like, I don't know if it was, and man, I need to reread this. I'm going to butcher the story, so let me look it up real quick. It was for Princess Mononoke before its release. The popular story is that they were sent a gift by Studio Ghibli of an authentic Japanese katana. It was like a gift, but with the note attached saying, "No cuts." Oh. As in, do not recut our movie into a different movie. This is the way we want it. I think after it was due to the poor experience they had with previous releases being changed so much.
Right.
They're like, no, it's going to be a faithful edit. You know?
Else.
Or else is the implication. But that's okay. I just found an article that says at least that's the popular story.
Oh, it may or may not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it wasn't Miyazaki, it was his producer. Oh. But they did send him a sword.
Yeah, I don't send people swords enough. It's not something I really do.
It sounds like it worked really great.
I think it would get your point across.
Yeah, it was because of what happened in Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. It was really heavily edited. 22 minutes of the original film were cut to try to make it more family friendly, diminishing its heroine's role in the story and removing parts that established the peaceful side of the insect enemies. The film was renamed Warriors of the Wind for its 1985 release and promoted a poster featuring a quartet of Masters of the Universe style male characters who do not appear in the film. One of them is literally a robot with a laser on this poster.
That's amazing.
It has nothing to do with the actual movie. Wow. Like, why would that ever fly? Like, someone had to be okay with that. But, oh yeah, let me get back to drawing. That was our little digression about Studio Ghibli. Literally sent a sword. I think it was to Harvey Weinstein. Oh yeah. I have to draw her little archery glove things that totally she wears to bed.
That's right. You never know when you might need to
arch. Yeah.
Yep. We saw Strange World.
Yep. How was
it? It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Is that the new Disney?
That's the new Disney Pixar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty funny.
Cool. What's it about? I know literally nothing about it.
They've actually kind of purposefully not had the trailers reveal too much, and I didn't know a lot about it
going in,
which was kind of nice. It was nice to just not have very many expectations.
Sure. Okay.
But in a nutshell, it's about like a family of explorers that find a strange world, if you will.
Oh.
Yeah, I like that. In a quest to save their like civilization. So it's pretty good. It's getting
so wait a minute. Their home civilization is doomed somehow.
Yes.
And they have to go find somewhere to run to.
It's more of a way to save it. Their power supply is acting weird, and they have to like go to the source of where they think the power supply is coming from.
Oh, so they're going to fix it. They're not going to find a new place to go.
Correct. They're trying to fix something that.
Okay. All right. You're saying it was good?
I liked it. I guess it's getting a lot of flack for having a openly gay teenage main character.
How dare they?
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
So
that is horrible. What are we showing our kids?
Right. Actually, I heard that Disney's not even going to release it in like China and parts of the Middle East because it's
really?
just so taboo that it's not even worth it.
That sucks.
Yeah, I know. But it's also losing like a ton of money.
Oh no.
Yeah. Partly because they're not showing it on a lot of
Well, I think that's a small price to pay for representation.
Yeah.
I'm glad they made those choices despite knowing it was going to affect it.
Well, I know the Lightyear movie caught a lot of flack for having a gay married couple.
Seriously?
Yeah, and it did not play well in China.
I mean, yeah. It's going to be pretty difficult to perfectly overlap cultural values across.
Well, especially when they vary so
country. Wildly.
I mean, Qatar is dealing with that with the U.S. Cup or the U.S. World Soccer. Thing.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you've heard much about that.
Who won?
Well, they like...
I know there were riots.
The U.S. soccer team had something supporting like women and I think it's Iran.
How dare they support women?
Right. Well, that's exactly what the Iranian soccer team said because they,
Did they boycott us?
They wanted the U.S. kicked out of the tournament.
Wow, for supporting women.
For supporting, yeah.
Like specifically women athletes or just like
women's
rights in general?
Women's rights in general. Because in Iran, I'm sure I'm missing a lot of parts of the story, but that's the general.
Yeah, I mean, I know about the stuff going on in Iran right now.
Yeah.
I just had no idea that it bled over into the amazing, wild, and wonderful world of soccer. Sorry, football. Football. We both said it the same. Football. It's as if we planned that, which we didn't.
So I'm playing with this animation to learn how this thing works, and I made a little cat trying to like just move, and the foot has just totally flown off camera. And I don't understand how that happened and how to fix it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's kind of...
Did you draw a path for it to follow accidentally?
I thought I did, and then it just... And then boomerangs back. The best part is it comes back into the body because I'm trying to do keyframes, and one keyframe said to go here, and then here, and it must have said, well, I'm going to go all the way out here. Oh, my goodness. This is...
That reminds me of, the webcomic artist Meredith Gran? She used to do...
Octopus Spy.
Octopus Spy.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see the animations her brother did?
No.
Joe Gran used to do a ton of really funny, like purposefully really bad computer animation.
This is exactly what this is.
Yeah. Have you seen those kind of videos online? Like where it's like
no, but
really bad models of like the characters from Monsters Inc. But they're like Like the models are broken and spiny, and like
that's kind of what
arms and legs are kind of going off and glitching.
That's about what I'm doing here
and stuff. Yeah, it's really bad versions of their voices. Like
sounds amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty great. I'll send you a link later. It definitely reminds me of like something Joe Grant animated. Only he would do it on purpose, like specifically trying for those effects, and you're like,
I'm just learning it and not really knowing what I'm doing.
I'm sure it's like specifically referencing what most animation students' work looks like when they begin.
When they're absolutely.
When they're learning the program.
And that's exactly where I'm at. I'm just learning.
But they're usually presented like honestly, like as if the creator was trying really hard and is really proud of it.
I am not proud of this in the slightest, except for its hilarity value.
Nice. She looks so weird without her nose.
It's a little weird.
But I like the face, though. She's got such good energy. What made you decide to check out this new software?
I've been using what I've been currently using for a while, which is not really built for animation. So I wanted to try something that was actually built for animation.
Uh-huh.
I'm still much more comfortable. Like I'm working on a monkey and llama code right now. I'm still using the old way.
Oh, okay.
Just thought it'd be good to
branch out,
try new things, and get really frustrated and probably quit. But at least I tried, right?
Yeah.
Trying is the first step to failure.
Yep. Or as Jake from Adventure Time would say, being really bad at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
That's true too. I only do things that I'm immediately good at.
Oh, yeah. Kind of limits your scope, though, don't you think?
No, surprisingly not.
I'm just instantly really good at a lot of things.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm just amazing at most stuff.
So it doesn't... Yeah. Doesn't limit my scope at all.
Yeah. I can see for some that would be a problem, but not for me.
My goodness, how fortunate for you.
Actually, Nancy was saying she read Anthony Kiedis' book.
Yeah.
The singer for Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And she said that guy's just like a total narcissist.
Oh, wow.
Which is actually refreshing to read Bono's book because, he's...
Is he a little more humble?
He's a little more humble. At least I personally think so, but I guess I'm a big fan, so maybe my perception's a little warped. But he's a little self-deprecating.
Like, we had no idea this would work or all that kind of stuff. Our success came as a complete surprise.
Right. But, he was Bono, so things worked out for him, I think.
Well, it's easy to be honest about how dorky you used to be when you're no longer dorky.
Yes, when you become, Bono.
Yeah. Which is usually humanizing, and like a lot of people will identify with. It's like, oh, he's just like me. No, he's not like you anymore. But we all came from awkward beginnings. Now he's Bono.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be like a movie version.
Mm-hmm. In the movie of my life, I would not play me. Let's just say that.
No. Who would you get to play you?
Someone far more talented.
Keanu Reeves.
Ooh, oh my gosh. If I was so lucky. Luisana just texted me. And made me laugh because Luisana's great.
Yeah.
She was quoting a song by a band I like called 1st of October.
Uh-huh.
Have I told you about them before?
No.
So it is Andrew Wong and Rob Scallon, who are both really popular YouTube creators. They're both musicians. Andrew's more in like kind of dance and pop music production, and Rob's like a really good guitarist and multi-instrumentalist. And one day a year, every October 1st, they go into the recording studio and write and record a whole album, 10 songs.
Wow.
In a 10-hour period. Basically a song per hour.
Is it any good?
I mean, the first couple of years are a bit rough, and they end up like rushing on the lyrics because that's the last thing they do. Although the year 3 and year 4 have been phenomenal. Like really some musical gems in there, and it's amazing what they can come up with on the fly.
Cool.
But they like managed their time better so that the lyrics and the songs feel more complete. But they're like, it's really inspiring if you're into writing and recording kind of rock songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like as independent local musicians ourselves, you would commiserate and relate to a lot of what they go through if you've tried to write for a band before. Even though it's easier because it's just two guys, and
True.
like one hops on a guitar, the other one hops on the drums, and they just come up with song ideas and then fill in all the rest of the instruments around it. But like, yeah, they wrote this song and it kind of sounded a little bit nu metal, but then like Rob goes off to work on the next song and leaves Andrew to work on the lyrics. And he comes back in the room. He's like, "So what's this song about?" He goes, "I'm writing a song about your mom," and like, but like earnestly, because she's like a really cool person that they both love, and like it basically becomes the bookmobile driver's anthem because she drove a bookmobile for many years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like this kind of nu metal song about like driving a bus around giving books to kids, and it's hilarious. So like Louis Sana just like quoted the lyrics at me in a text, and makes me so happy. And since it happens in October every year, they often do Halloween theme songs and other like the songs could really be about anything. And they do a pretty diverse musical influence. Like some of them are a little bit metal, some of them are more punk, some of them are more like melodic on piano. There's a few that are just ukulele and guitar and acoustic guitar. So it could be almost anything. But I've come to really look forward to October every year because I get a new album. Like you just know when it's going to happen. They recorded October 1st, and then by the end of October, they put out the video of how they made it. It's like an hour-long video of 12 hours of music production shrunk down into an hour. So you only get all the good bits. And then the album, like when the video comes out, the album is out. It's on Spotify, YouTube, all the things. Which is super fun. I've been trying to get my band to watch it because I think it's inspiring. But so far, Louis Sana is the only one that's watched it with me, and it's because...
you should fire them all.
Well, I had her as a captive audience one time we were on a road trip, so I played it for her. But anyone who checks it out, I think, at least in our circles, because we're, indie musicians, would get it. I love it when characters put their hands behind their back so I don't have to draw them.
Smart.
Right?
Our next book, none of the characters will have hands.
I'm remembering to put her sleeves on now because of the last time I forgot. Hey, comic artists. Isn't it fun when your colorist points out all the inconsistencies in your drawings? Continuity errors. Someone's got to catch them.
Yeah, stuff you don't realize until you're coloring it.
Didn't she have sleeves? I've never colored her bare shoulders before.
Didn't she have a head? Could have sworn she had some type of thing on her shoulders.
I've noticed something a little bit inconsistent about this panel, but I'm not going to fix it because I actually like it. She has mom jeans. She looks like
No, she doesn't.
Yeah, she does. She looks like a Pixar mom.
She does look like a Pixar mom. But like a cool Pixar mom.
Yeah. Because she's got an undercut. And that asymmetrical hairstyle. As far as hearing stories from musicians go, who I've been enjoying listening to a lot is Rick Rubin.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's got some stories.
Yeah, he has a lot of stories, my friend, and he does a lot of podcasting, actually.
Oh, that's cool.
He does interviews where he's the guest, or he actually does interviews a lot where he's interviewing other artists. Did you see that thing he did with Paul McCartney? There's some special they cut together of a lot of footage of just Rick Rubin and Paul McCartney like messing around with some music equipment, reminiscing over Paul McCartney's, career, him asking him questions, and like Rick would like pull up the tracks and like isolate stuff and ask questions, and I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot of clips of it, and I'm like, well, that looks awesome. I want to hear Paul McCartney talk about how he did shit.
Yeah. His voice is just fun to listen to as well.
Oh, Sir Paul?
Sir Paul, that's right.
Yeah, he's pretty great. I mean, all respect to George Harrison, but McCartney is my favorite Beatle, and I'm happy we still have him.
It's funny that Twitch is so concerned about copyright music.
Yeah.
And when, like, most of Twitch is live streaming literally video games that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
That's strange to me.
With, like, and, like, the video games have music.
And images of Mario and copyrighted characters.
Yeah.
But they care. I guess the music industry has probably threatened to sue or something.
Maybe.
So I had this crazy idea that maybe I want to buy a minivan.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty out
This
there.
is a big decision.
This is a
sir.
huge decision.
Are you a minivan type?
I don't. So just to catch you up to speed, I had this idea when my brother and his wife were visiting, and we had to take 2 cars everywhere.
Ah.
And I was like, well, if I had a minivan.
You have an SUV.
It has a 3rd row, but they are the 3rd row for the damned. I mean, it is awful back there. That 3rd row, they're like plastic seats of flimsiness that just I would not wish my darkest foe to sit in those seats. It's so bad.
Right. But a little bit of backstory, you were already kind of maybe thinking about replacing that car. Like that SUV.
It is.
It had occurred to you to look for new vehicles.
Yeah. It was one thing I told myself I was going to aggressively look for this year.
Ooh. So that's a 2023
Yeah.
thing?
So I test drove a Chrysler Pacifica the other day.
Mm-hmm. Those are nice.
It drives great.
Yeah.
I'm pretty amazed it's for such a big vehicle.
Feels like, yeah.
How well they maneuver.
Yeah.
And I noticed this. I had to rent a van once for work, and then we got a Honda Odyssey, and I was like, wow, this thing is easy to drive.
I like the Odysseys a lot, and my boss has a Pacifica, and I've been in it several times going to lunch. It is
pretty boss.
It is pretty great.
Yeah. I brought it home during my test drive.
Uh-huh.
And put it in my garage, and it like barely fits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd have to rearrange a lot of things.
Like you're like nose right up to the wall, and you're like, is it gonna close on the
yeah
bumper?
And then to deal with that every day would just be like
it'd be a little bit hard.
Well, when I first got my current car, which was 10 years ago, it was bigger than my previous car, and it felt gigantic.
Right.
And I was worried about that fitting in the garage, and now I'm used to that.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I don't think I'm going to buy the minivan, even though I did like it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah. But it was,
I mean, you really got to... I'm glad that you brought it home and tried that out, because I don't think a lot of people would have thought to do that.
It was definitely a concern of mine, knowing that... Because I actually read up on the dimensions. I'm like, this thing is like 3 feet longer than my current car. That's going to be a problem, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, like, while it would be very convenient in some situations, they're pretty few and far between. I mean, it's not like I'm... Like, I have a friend that has 3 kids. Mm-hmm. He had to get a minivan to fit all of them in his car.
Right.
Like, it's just... The math doesn't make sense. Luckily, we only have 2. So we fit in one car.
Mm-hmm.
But it did cross my mind. So now I'm thinking about just getting a new, updated, mid-size SUV, which is what I have now.
I mean, have you just looked at the newer Mitsubishi Outlanders?
And that's what the sales guy said at Carmax. So I went to Carmax to test drive this thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a little big. And he's like, oh, well, have you seen the... He asked me, what are you driving now? So I said Outlander. And he's like, oh, we have...
Yeah, like a 2012.
Yeah, I have a 2012.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's certain upgrades now that are standard that I am like...
Didn't have access to back
then,
yeah.
Rear view camera was not a thing 10 years ago, or it's not as prevalent. Android Auto was not a thing 10 years ago, which I would like. Well, my car is keyless. It's like the older style of keyless.
Yeah.
So it's just a little different. There's just little things like that.
Oh, so you can push button start?
Yeah, push button start has become kind of standard now, it seems.
Or like, yeah, it is. Or like being able to lock it with just like touching the door handle or something.
And then like the automatic back door, open the fifth door opening is nice, which I don't currently have. I have to use my hands like a commoner.
Yeah, to put your double armload of groceries in the back of it. You don't have the wave your foot under the bumper to hit the sensor so it opens.
Oh, is that a thing? I didn't know
That's
that.
a thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Some SUVs have that, and it's if you have the key in range, it's active.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep. So you can literally without even touching a clicker,
it's genius.
Open the back hatch. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like why did it take us so long to come up with these modern conveniences?
Yeah.
Could have had this years ago.
So it's still on my radar. Will it happen in 2022? Probably not.
Probably not.
But and it's like my current car is running great. I just kind of want to do something before it starts giving me problems.
Yeah. Well, it's also going to be worth more in the trade-in if you
exactly
upgrade while it's actually still a working vehicle.
Right. If I run that thing to the ground, it's like we'll give you.
I mean, you got your money's worth out of it, but then you also don't get any money for it when you sell it.
True.
But although I have noticed Carmax is fantastic about taking junkers.
They are.
They will almost guaranteed give you at least $1,000 on even the crappiest car.
Yeah. No, they're. We've actually sold our last 3 cars to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten quotes from other dealers, and they're like,
yeah, Carmax pays
way
the most.
Smaller. Yeah, they really do.
For sure. I even looked into Carvana, and they're like similar, but Carmax was like a bit more.
Yeah, I think my next car, I will probably just look at Carmax. I don't really like other dealers, and I hate having to haggle for the price and all that.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
It's not fun.
Like, nothing else is bought like that. Why are cars purchased like this?
I don't know.
It's like, I just want to buy the watermelon. Leave me alone. I'm just buying a watermelon. You could walk out of here.
Just tell me how much the watermelon is. Are you quoting something?
No, I'm just thinking of something really asinine to buy that you have to haggle for.
Oh, the haggle for? And the grocery store clerk's like 40 cents.
What do I need to do to get you to buy this for you to walk out with this watermelon?
35 cents.
Name a price.
Yeah, I don't know why we only do that for cars. It feels to me like a holdover from when cars were like the big purchase that a family made, and when America basically became a car driving nation.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's probably due to that. Like, just cars are huge business, so like people are trying to get a good deal. Dealers were doing anything they could to get cars in people's hands. What can I do to get you in this Cadillac? Other than open the door and push you.
Right. Yeah, it's strange that's the norm.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a holdover, because like these days, like you remember when eBay was a lot more bidding on things, and you had to camp on your...
Do they still do that?
Yeah. You can still do auctions on eBay, but most people do the buy it now button, and most people, I think, use the buy it now.
Yeah.
I just look for the one where the buy it now price is what I want, and I don't want to have to deal with, will I get it, won't I get it? Oh no, the deal fell through because they didn't want to negotiate with me. Like, ugh, so annoying. And sometimes the little less detailed characters are like more difficult to get to look realistic.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cartoonist skill you have to practice. I notice when pro comic artists do that, like the characters like in the distance, so they simplify. You don't have to draw every wrinkle and stuff. And I'm always surprised and appreciative when they do it well.
Oh yeah, that's really hard to do.
And I always remember, oh yeah, I don't do that enough. I draw all my stuff like fully detailed, no matter how far away they are. And then you zoom out and realize you just spent 3 hours drawing a thing that's like a square inch of a comic page.
Yeah, that's funny.
I did that on that Circle City Captain thing. Like the illustration on the front of the photo booth was like this tall, and like on a 12-foot thing that's like tiny.
Right.
And when you step 10 feet back from it, it's like, I can barely even see his face. I spent so long on that face. He should have been simplified. But it was good. I had a lot of fun. As I said. I don't know what Luna's bed is made of. I'm just assuming it's a big cushion. It's probably straw with like a blanket on top of it. So it's just lumpy and soft looking.
Or they stole it from a rich person.
Yeah, oh yeah. Maybe they have an actual bed.
Yeah.
Bandits live well.
Makes me want to be a bandit.
Right?
Oh, but I finished Sandman 3. I thought that was going to be the last one. And when it ended, I was like, man, they really shit on the ending. That's what my initial thought was. Like, wow, they really glossed over a lot. And then I read up on it. I'm like, oh, it's not done. I was like, well, there's more, but I guess they had to cut it. I was like, man, that sucked. Is what I thought.
That's funny.
But I'm pretty sure when they originally announced it, it was supposed to be 3 parts. And then when I finished the third one, I'm like, God, they really biffed the ending.
Have you heard anything about the series?
It got renewed for a season 2.
It's getting 2. Okay.
It's getting 2.
At least 2.
Yes. Yeah, it absolutely got renewed, which I'm excited about.
That is great.
They hinted at the Key to Hell storyline is next.
Oh yeah.
Which is probably one of my favorite.
Which actually where I'm at in the story hasn't been paid off yet. Like he goes spoiler for anyone who hasn't read Sandman. He goes to hell to free his ex-girlfriend. Right? He suddenly decides, "Oh, I treated her poorly. Like, I kind of condemned her to suffering for 10,000 years or whatever." And he's like, "I'm going to go free her." And then when he gets there, Lucifer's like, "Nope, hell's empty. Here, take it.
Here's the key."
Yeah. Like, and then for a while hell isn't being used, like, aren't bad things happening in the world because it's affecting everything?
Things. Yeah. Like there's a story with the little kid at the school who gets bullied and
the ghosts.
And there's ghosts, yeah.
Yeah. So all that's happening while hell is kind of messed up. And I remember he has like a big gathering at his dream palace where like people come.
That's one of my favorite
to
scenes.
Petition.
And like you have the old gods who are out of fashion want the key because it'll make them relevant, and then actually growing up, my favorite part about that was like they make this small comment about how the Christian God is so powerful because so many people believe in him.
Uh-huh.
And as a kid, it warped not say warped, but made an impression on me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, this is because people believe in that. But people used to believe in
other things.
The cat god of Egypt, and she had power then. But now that people have switched their gods, they have power. And just that really blew my mind as a 16-year-old.
Right, because you had, at that point, a more limited experience on religion and how it worked.
Yeah.
And then that became the whole plot of American Gods.
Yeah, and he really does
on that idea.
Expand on that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much of American Gods could be inside Sandman. And vice versa.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you could totally tell same author.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he definitely takes that idea and expounds upon it.
He does like it. Yeah, and I like that idea too. And I'm kind of remembering how it ends. I think it's like a couple fallen angels get it. Are they fallen?
Well, you mean like what actually happens to the key to hell?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to be like spoiler alert. What happens is the Christian God takes it.
Well, so two angels do.
But he makes 2 angels who don't want it.
Yeah.
Are like, well, hell serves a function.
Yeah.
So he makes them take it. They don't really want to do it because to them it's beneath them.
They kind of just become the next villain.
Yeah. Well, they have to do Satan's work.
It is implied that they're not doing well, like kind of mentally.
Yeah.
Like
they're cast out from
it. They're like they're feeling the torture of not being in God's presence anymore.
Right.
And which is what Lucifer did in the first place anyway. Like he was a fallen angel. I mean, he fell willingly.
Right.
I think.
Yes.
But the other angels that did not side with him obviously don't want to be in hell. So, yeah. You can kind of see it corrupting them just doing the job in the book, the way he writes it.
It would mess you up.
Yeah. But, and then they're like later At the end of Act 2, there's like a moment where Lucifer's like on a beach in Australia just talking to a guy.
He's just on vacation.
And he sees like a sunset and is like, okay, that was good.
Well,
like,
apparently that...
kind of like as an evidence of God's greatness, like he made such a beautiful sunset or something.
Yeah, he's like, I have to hand it to you.
He's like, I gotta give you that one. Yeah, that's great.
As much as I hate you because I'm Beelzebub or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Or Satan.
I thought that was a cool moment.
Yeah, so you've read the first 2 acts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite one-offs are probably... I really like the Augustus Octavia one.
Yes.
That one's just, man. And actually the audible of that, the guy who plays Augustus, I forget his name, but he's in Succession. He is just so good. Like his voice acting in that is just really sells it.
I really love their conversations as they're pretending to be beggars.
Yes. And then...
And of course, the one where the guy goes back to the tavern every 100 years.
Yep, Hob.
Yeah,
Hob is just classic.
Hob Gadling's story is really great.
It's just classic.
Love that story. Also love it when they get like confronted, and they're both like these like eternal beings at a bar having a drink, and like people have figured it out, and they're like, and they show them a picture of them from 100 years ago, and he's like, I don't look like that. You look good though.
Yeah.
Then which kind of has them admitting that that's them.
Yep.
Like they kind of...
Yeah, they don't deny it.
No.
They definitely don't deny it.
But they also are not bothered at all by this. Like, they got found out. They're just like, oh, well, we will...
Well, you get the sense Sandman, or Dream, is... He's never concerned when he's in the human realm. He's never...
Like, anyone's going to find out that he's
he's
in
just...
Endless.
It doesn't... Like, he can't die by their hands.
Right.
He's never fearful.
Well, he was captured... That was before he was captured.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hardly a spoiler. The series starts with it.
That's what it starts with, yeah.
It's the first Sandman story anyone ever reads.
That's what he starts
Dream
with.
getting captured.
Yeah.
But, and then obviously he's furious and he's like, how dare they? But also, how did they? Like,
right.
It's kind of really rare that anyone would be able to do that. Anywho, now you're ahead of me. You can't spoil Act 3 things for me.
Right.
Well, I'm going to be on Monte Cristo for at least another couple weeks.
Yeah. It's good. You'll enjoy it.
Neil Gaiman is just so good. No wonder they had him translating Miyazaki stuff.
Yeah. He's pretty all right.
Has Neverwhere ever gotten a really good TV show?
I mean, they started with one. Did you ever watch
like
that? The first, I think, 2
No.
episodes they did?
I didn't.
Actually, wasn't it originally written as a TV show that he adapted into a book because they couldn't get the
Was
TV?
it?
I don't know which came first.
I don't know.
I'll look it up.
I think it's a little embarrassing how much time I spend on stream trying to draw a butt.
Hey, you want that butt to look right.
You kind of do.
The TV series came first, aired in 96, and the novel was published in 97.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it needs a new adaptation, I think. Now that we know we can get really good Gaiman TV.
I mean, it seemed like he was holding out for Sandman, because he had done American Gods, and then Good Omens, and like...
Good Omens was good.
I mean, you listened to that one interview he did with WTF with Mark Maron, where he kind of said, like, he told the producer, like, please don't make a Sandman movie. Like, please.
Not yet.
He's like, please, because he knew it would be totally shit.
Yeah.
And he was like, please don't.
He definitely held off until he got the conditions he wanted to make it in.
Yeah. And, yeah, because in the story he says the movie producer, or maybe I read this, but he said the movie producer was like, you're the first writer to ever tell me, or ever beg me not to adapt their story.
Right. But if you wait too long, you won't get it made in your lifetime.
That's true.
Think about Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's true.
He was working on a TV and movie script literally the movie script for like decades, I think.
Yeah.
Because he passed away in the early 2000s, was it? Like 2000, 2001? I forget.
I thought it was earlier than that.
No. I mean, maybe. Was it in the 90s? I don't think it was in the 90s. And we were both Googling it.
Yeah, we're both Googling it. 2001. You're right.
Haha! And, like, Hitchhikers came out in the 70s. It was like 1978 was the original... I'm looking at the Wikipedia. Hitchhiker's Guide originally was a 1978 BBC radio comedy. And the books came out, a little bit after that. But he was... almost the whole time he was working on a movie script for it. Like how to... After the success of the first book. And like it went through rewrites and this was, like we pointed out earlier, the earlier days of Hollywood where they could just completely change a book.
Right.
Back
then they used to
make changes just because some executive thinks it's going to sell better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like they did all kinds of monkeying with it. And he, to his credit, obviously it would get stalled by funding or the studio is on and then they're off. You can't get a director. Like there were lots of reasons why it got delayed. But some of those were he didn't want to make those changes.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the integrity of his original work.
I know Jeff Smith had that post recently where he's like, yeah, Bone is dead.
Really?
Yeah. For now, at least.
Like any adaptation of it?
Yeah, he said that the current people that were trying to adapt it wanted just to change it too much. And he's like, no, pass.
Dang.
Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Watterson refused to have any merchandising or TV stuff. Right? He was so purist about the comic strip experience.
That sounds like Watterson.
Yeah, he's kind of awesome.
Kind of awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's Bill Watterson. But, I don't necessarily agree with, just someone saying, no toys, never.
If he's passionate about it, I get it.
Yeah, it's his work. He's allowed to say that, but, really, why would...
Yeah.
What would it have... All it did, we still got our Calvin and Hobbes toys. They were just all bootleg.
Yeah.
And if you want to control the quality of something that people want, might as well do it yourself.
True.
How many Calvin peeing on a thing...
I know.
Car decals have you seen?
Why did that become a thing? That's so dumb.
I don't know. It's very weird. Is it because Calvin is kind of like a troublemaker?
I guess. He never...
He's not like Dennis the Menace.
It's not his bit to urinate on things in the street.
Yeah, right?
That's not even Calvin from the... again, peeing.
That's not even from the comic.
If it was sledding or something, maybe. But, yeah, that is strange that became such a meme on the back of trucks.
A meme before there were the internet.
Yeah, it really is.
I wonder... That would be a fun thing to Google, the history of Calvin peeing on a number 3 NASCAR thing.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And also that probably just confirmed for Bill that he did the right thing.
Yeah.
He's like, if this is what they're going to do with my property, of course I don't want, merchandise or whatever. I don't want my characters peeing all over everything. Well, guess what? You got it anyway.
Well, this one article I found about it doesn't give it gives a little bit of timeline, but doesn't really say where
or why.
He's certainly, it says Bill Watterson, he was very against merchandising Calvin and Hobbes.
Uh-huh.
It does say that the original image that is mostly used is Calvin's actually filling up a water balloon. So he's looking behind him, filling up this water balloon to throw at someone.
But he's filling it up on a faucet, not with his pee, right?
Yeah, it's a faucet, and I'm looking at it. And that is what he believes is the origin of at least that image.
Yeah, the piece of art that someone changed.
And then they took that and then added urine to it because,
like you do.
Like you do.
This is why we can't have nice things.
It is strange. Why wasn't, Garfield urinating on things?
Because Garfield had merch.
Do you think the void of merch made it more susceptible to be bootlegged?
That is my theory.
It's valid, or at least it makes sense to a degree.
Thank you.
I'm feeling old. I I was clipping my toenails the other day and sneezed and threw my back out. Not totally threw it out, but I definitely
Well, that's not just you getting old. Like, you've had a previous injury
Yeah.
that you maybe flared up.
Maybe, but I just felt really...
Made you feel old.
Yeah, I was like, man, I can't even... Oh, clip my toenails. And sneeze, apparently.
Oh, no. I mean, I felt my back twinge. Like, I was just sitting upright in my car and, like, stretched my arm back to, like... I think my shirt was riding up, so I, like, tried to sit upright so I can pull the shirt tail back down. And I just did that movement, and my lower back went, hey!
Dude.
Ow!
What do you think you are, 25?
Yeah. How dare you adjust your shirt?
Yeah, it's a true thing. There's little body aches, and
I mean, we're just getting old, man.
don't spring back as quickly as we used to.
We're not a spring chicken.
No.
See, I shrunk the head, and I mean, that looks a little bit better. Still a big head. I think it's fine.
Yes.
The
I think
small
it's good.
versions are going to be cartoony anyway.
Yeah, I think that really works. I'm actually amazed that your proportions aren't more janky, considering you just kind of freehand it to a degree.
Well, I had the underdrawing.
Yeah, but your underdrawings are so loose. At least in my opinion. You just know what it's going to look like, and you can just do that.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
I'm trying to say.
that comes from just how many hundreds of times you draw the characters.
Yeah, you just kind of know the proportions without having
Yeah.
to...
Well, I mean, like, I think in some drawings of Luna, she looks a lot shorter. And then, like, in this drawing, I mean, that's kind of... I think the figure looks like she could be 6 feet tall.
Right.
Like, the proportions are a little different. Like, I'm fudging it because it's cartoony. I can get away with a lot.
And her face really looks like Bad Machinery, which is a compliment.
Which one?
Isn't that what's called Bad Machinery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Allison.
John Allison, thank you.
Yeah. You mean the Luna face?
Luna's face.
Yeah, maybe. I actually don't like her chin. I want to redraw that.
Oh, I think your chin looks good, but it does look a little non-Luna-ish.
Here, I'm going to save the original before I do the edit, just in case we like it better before. But I kind of need it to be a little bit more like that instead of that. You see the difference? I just brought it up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do see the difference when you go back to the old one.
I like it better that way. Anyway.
You just gave her a chin lift.
I did.
Free of charge. That's like thousands of dollars in plastic surgery right there.
Bandits get good deals. Save. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, you made a lot of progress.
Let us call it a stream.